In today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about 4-amp angle head grinders. These are Makita grinders, and if you were to buy one, you'd open it up in the box, and this is kind of what you'd find. There'd be a guard on it. I've taken the guards off for purposes of illustration and explanation. This is a 4-amp grinder. It has the switch on the side. There's not a whole lot of controls to it. You basically plug it in and turn the switch on. It has a locking switch that isn't of real high quality. When you push on the locking switch, it should lock. This is a little bit older grinder, and this, in my experience, this is what always happens, is that after a while the locking function fails. So you end up having to hold it with your finger if indeed the locking switch fails. But when you buy it new, you will push on it like this, and then to release it, you'll push on the back of the switch and it will release. You're going to have to change the disc. Sometimes it'll come with a hard disc. I've got this one set up with a 50 grit paper disc. So if I wanted to change to this 50 grit disc, I would have to use the wrench that's provided, and then on the shaft there are two flaps, and you locate the wrench on the flats. With a paper disc, you can basically take your hand and turn it off like this. They do provide a nut with a series of holes and a wrench that will go into the holes to help you turn it off. I find that you really never want to tighten it up so much that you would need to use this. The rotation of the machine is counter to the rotation of the thread, so that it's constantly wanting to be tightened up. So anyways, I wouldn't over tighten it. So let me change this paper disc for you. I'm going to take that one off. That comes with a little flexible backing pad, rubber backing pad that sits there. And I've made this little carrier to hold my discs flat. In humid conditions, the disc will tend by itself to flex. When it does, it's almost useless as a grinding wheel. So I'm going to take the disc off of the carrier and put it right back on. And all of my carriers have the grid on them, so I can reference it easily. And I'm simply going to center the rubber backing pad on the shaft. Typically what I do is I push the nut through, and then I tighten it up like this, and I'll just kind of hold it. I'll quickly grab, and I'll just rotate the disc, and the shaft flats will just fall naturally into the wrench. And I'm just going to firm it up about like that. That's enough, because once you start working with it, it will tighten up. Now here we have a 4-amp angle head grinder with a cutting disc. I've removed the guard so you can see what I'm doing. Again, I'm going to take off, let's say I'll assume that I'm going to have to replace this with either a cup brush or a little cutting wheel that I have. And these are nice little thin cutting wheels from Klingspor that I really like. They're pretty strong. I've yet to have one break on me. Anyways, I'm going to again find the flats in the shaft lock. And I am going to use a wrench because I don't want to grab this thing. It's delicate enough that if I were to try to grab it and yank on it, I probably would break it. So I'm going to just put my hands together and go like this. As a general note, when you're doing this move, sometimes you can put your hands like that if the wrench are oriented correctly to one another. But in this case, I'm just going to gently turn the nut off like that. I'm going to loosen it up, and then I'm going to put another cutting wheel on. And you'll have a little spacer washer, or you can make one, and I'll have a little video on how to do some of these fancy little things. But I've just took a washer and drilled it out, and then milled it down to a certain outside diameter that fits the inside diameter of the arbor. And I'm going to simply tighten this up. Notice how I basically left the shaft lock wrench on the whole time. In other words, I turned it off like this, and I just left the wrench in there because I'm going to do this fairly quickly. I will typically have whatever I'm going to change right next to me, so that I'll pick it off, put it right on, and then tighten it off. And then I'm going to just hand tighten it a little bit, and then with the wrench I'm just going to give it a little bit more of a tightening, and then that's it. Now that works really well for a cutting disc. Let's just assume that you wanted to put on a cut brush and you don't have that wrench, typically what I'm going to do is just turn this right on like this, and then I'll get a rag just to hold the fibers so it doesn't damage my hand. I'll find the shaft lock, I'll hold it with a rag, and I'll just tighten it up, and that is more than sufficient. So again, I'll take this off with the rag, protecting my hands, spin it off, and then I'll replace it with, again, place the disc. And I'm kind of using the wrench. I've actually made my own wrench. The ones that they offer are pretty thin and narrow. And I just like to have a little bit broader wrench. Then I can control the machine and very quickly change the cutting wheels. I do a lot of work and I'm having to work fairly quickly. But anyways, so again, in summary, just a couple different ways of changing out your paper disc and your cutting disc with the two wrenches that are provided. Thanks for watching.